Today, Daddy builds a model with Jason Reece. Judy Hernandez talks about dioramas. From London, Ontario, we bring you the Model Railroaders Instructor Show. Is that a wrap?
Yep, that's a wrap. Thumbs up. Yeah! Hey, we got a Kiwi out here. Doop. Model Railroads Instructors Show is brought to you by Helicon Focus. Helicon Focus makes photo stacking easy, while making post-editing just plain simple. Get your 20% off a lifetime membership by going to modelersguild.com/HF. And we thank Helicon Focus for their support of the Model Railroads Instructors Show. It's a nice shot, but I have to stand beside this to get it. I had a little bit of an issue happen. It was probably about yesterday morning. You might remember last week I asked about branding the channel into the show and stuff like that. Well, something happened to the show, and I don't know if the Maker Studios shut it down or they turned it off. I don't know if it was Google or who did it, but you can't access it through the branded page anymore. It did work for about a week. Well, I didn't change anything. Everything's all the same. So if you had subscribed to the web show and they turn it back on, it might just come back. Who knows? But, you know, true to form, train wreck television. That got me to thinking. As you know, to the chagrin of many people, I am running a Patreon campaign to have the show funded in a certain way that I could be able to do it weekly and get products and have giveaways, and not just chintzy giveaways, like have some real cool stuff happen. I changed the patron campaign to once a month. It's one payment a month. If you want to give $1, it's $1. If you want to be a part of the raffles that are coming up the pike, you got to be a patron to do so, and the minimum you got to be a part of for that is $1 a month. It's pretty crazy how cheap that is. The highest milestone for the patron campaign will be give away a Craftsman kit every single week. You know, lots of people say that they give a benefit to the hobby, but I think giving out 52 high-quality Craftsman kits every year would be a contribution that would be hard-pressed topped. Yeah, 52 Craftsman kits, that's an accomplishment I would boast about. Definitely. I would not be scared to tell everybody. Yeah. Let's try to get to those big milestones. Thanks. stop that and start talking to our new guest here, because I'm actually pretty keen on talking to Judy here. And we muted you, Judy, so you're going to have to find in the top middle. There's a little microphone. If you press that, there you go. Now you're live. So everyone, this is Judy Hernandez, and Judy is a diorama builder.
Good morning, guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Morning, Judy.
Good morning.
So
Welcome to the party.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I saw, usually when somebody comments on my videos, I go back to see what they do. And, you know, on YouTube. I YouTube them. and this time I went over and I saw some movie set dioramas and non-train stuff. You're a diorama build. What's your interest in the diorama hobby?
You know, I just recently had quite a few people ask me how I got into it, and I honestly don't know how it came about. It's just something that piqued my interest. I've always been a lifelong drawer. I've drawn since I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. So art is pretty much a very intense hobby of mine. I just started looking up, I remember, cardboard structures on YouTube for whatever reason. And I have a fascination with streamlined modern structures, which is basically kind of like Art Deco. But to me, it has a lot more flow. And so I was watching The Shadow, and I know it's a cheesy movie, but I was watching The Shadow, and I just love the architecture in the movie. So I thought I would love to have a piece of that building in my home. So my very first piece of structure was a 1930s jazz club, and it just went from there. And I got into the community of the diorama people, where they do dioramas for their action figures, for toy photography. But I kind of go away from replicas from movies and video games and stuff like that. It's just something different. I don't want to stick to just action figures because it's just too basic for me. I like to go off, think out of the box, if you want to say that. So
wonderful. Do you have some photos put together to share with us?
I have a little something I have here on the side. It's not necessarily a diorama. It's just I wanted to challenge myself and see if I can do it. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the movie Up.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do the house, and it's not done. It's almost there. I got lots to do still, and you know, I'm working right now on the balloons, and I got to do the windows and all sorts of different things. It's just a challenge for myself to see, because usually I don't have the patience to do something like this. And that's why I was hoping you would do that Boston bookstore, because I think that would be so damn cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shorpy is great for inspiration. Yeah. So the diorama community is so interesting. Like, you know, being a model railroader, I don't look for those kinds of things, but is it a big community?
It depends. I don't think it's as big as I would like it to be. There are some artists out there who are kind of known to make dioramas just solely for photography purposes. But it's a small niche, I think, and those people are just accomplished, and they're known, and they've been in galleries and whatnot. There's an ACBA group, which is basically people who do dioramas for their action figures, and they do photography for that, and that's basically where you're going to see a lot of that. I think it's slowly growing, but you see that a lot in the railroad community as well. You see people making their own sceneries. That's basically a diorama. And by watching a lot of railroad videos, that's where I was getting a lot of my ideas with the flocking and everything. You get ideas from everywhere.
Yeah. So ACBA stands for Articulated Comic Book Art?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I am not necessarily a member of that community because, just like you were talking about earlier, there's too much drama. It's very competitive. It's very male-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I was on Dial Structure in Facebook, only myself and another female from England would post up there. You know, she does a lot of those comic book dioramas as well. And too much ego, too much crap going on. So I got myself out of it. I don't, we don't need that. But I'm just trying to do my own thing. I'm trying to do my own thing. I try to sell my stuff on Etsy. I have my YouTube channel. I try to do my own thing.
Wonderful.
And see what happens.
Wonderful. And we'll share photos on the produced video over top of this. Well, not over top. We're not going to hide you behind your photos. Because actually, I think that women in the hobby. I interviewed Ulrike from Germany.
Yes, I saw her.
Yeah, and she does great work, and I think that we should actually promote women in the hobby a lot more than what is, because there's not many who are really pushing pushing hobbies so other people join, and I think that a lot of women are really interested in scenery and trees and making small dioramas. I know a lot of gentlemen who their wives build all their kits.
Awesome.
I imagine if it wasn't for the women, some of these railroads would simply be plywood. So I think as much as we can shed a spotlight on the girl power, let's get it on.
Rock on, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see too many out there for some reason. Either they're not exposing themselves as much as they should, or they're just not a lot of interest. I don't really know. But
it could be the behavior of men.
Well, like I kind of get that. That's why I kind of just do my own thing, and I keep doing what I do. I watch videos. I found you. I started doing this about 1.5 years ago. I have not seen your channel. It's just random pop-ups. You type in on Google on YouTube stuff, and your video popped up, and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. And you just did you were making a building, and you were putting strips of wood on there in a way where you're just like sticking in the wood and cracking it, sticking it, breaking it, sticking it, breaking it. And I was like, why can't I do that? Why do I have to cut and measure? And measure.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very interesting, and that's why I commented on your video. So.
Yeah. No, thank you for commenting, because that's how I got a hold of you. So.
Well, I not to get too personal, but I moved back to Florida from Michigan because I'm actually going through a separation. So I don't really do anything. So it gives me a chance to focus on my art a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of depressing at the same time.
Hey,
I don't really want to do much.
It's the personal stuff that really drives you into your art.
Yeah.
I had a little breakup myself in 2010, and some of my best work came within the 6 months that followed. So I wouldn't want to do it again, but it was, the side effect was fairly nice.
For some people it's an inspiration, but for some people you just want to wallow and not do anything, and that was pretty much what happened to me. I was kind of like out of the loop for a few months, and then I just...
Did it darken your work?
It's been dark. Have you not noticed that?
Yeah. Well,
it's always been dark. I love the horror genre, and I focus on that a lot. But obviously, this Up House is not anywhere near horror.
Yeah.
I wanted to give it a little bright up, but I've always been interested in that.
You could do it. Rosy disposition every once in a while.
Exactly. You got to put rainbows and giraffes every once in a while.
Unicorns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My wife would actually totally be interested in seeing your work because she's a horror. I say freak because I can't watch horror movies. Like I start pacing. I move to yelling at the TV, and then I'm gone. I'm out of here. Why do you do that to yourself? Then I'll come back 5 minutes later and I'll say, why do you do that to yourself? Why?
I love it. I've been watching horror movies since I was 7 years old. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's I don't know. I'm surprised I was never goth growing up.
Oh.
I wasn't. Neither emo either. So it's just something that really interests me, and kind of like I've always had like I don't know, I wanted to work in that kind of field, like set design for horror movies or whatever, but I just never did it. I don't know. I visited California. I don't care for it much. So.
There's always the chance. And I've got quite the collection. Well, I used to have quite the collection of Doc Martens, so I wasn't really goth, but I was a punk rocker. So
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, so I'm a real big fan of your work, and you're welcome to come back and bring this horror subject matter to the show if you want, if you're comfortable with it. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything, and I think that a lot of people would be really interested in expanding their hobbies view, because I've learned so much from military modelers.
Yeah.
And I imagine that the weathering and gore involved with these scenes that you do would really translate very interestingly in some model railroad scenes. So
absolutely, weathering definitely. I learned a lot from all sorts of different modelers. The only difference is that I don't go out and buy those expensive products. Like the Meg Jimenez or what's that other one? The AK Interactive. They have weathering colors. I just make my own. Mm-hmm. I use cheap acrylics, and I mess around with colors all the time.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're using cheap acrylics, and what are you mixing them with? Just plain water?
Water. I layer on multiple colors until I get the desired effect that I want. And I know that some of these colors, I'm not bringing those colors down by any means. It's just I like to take the more difficult road and make my own colors, and I try to scratch build as much as I can and make everything for myself as much as I can, instead of putting pieces together or buying colors like a rust color that's already made. I like to do it myself because it just kind of it gives me a sense of achievement that I made this color look absolutely realistic.
And I find thinking that way also, a lot of modelers will have a barrier because they're waiting to be able to afford a product or find a product. By scratch building in the way that you're talking about, there's no fear and nothing stopping you from just trudging on.
Right. Absolutely.
Where can we find your work? Is it? Do you have a website?
I have a website, but it's not really up. It'll just connect you to
YouTube.
I don't know. My brother set it up for me. it's just we just haven't had the time. He's the IT guy, and he's the one that helped me out. But I do have a YouTube channel, and I have a Facebook.
What is your
Dial Studio or?
What is your YouTube channel name?
Just Dark Dial Studio, and you should be able to find it. Okay. I have, like I said, I had Etsy, Flickr, Instagram. I try to get myself out there as much as I can.
About trudging through and scratch building and making your own products instead of waiting to buy something. Is that it?
Oh no, I do it totally from scratch. I normally work with insulation foam, and sometimes I get the itch to work with cardboard or balsa wood or whatever, depending on what I'm making. But primarily, I use insulation foam, and because it helps me carve in what I need to carve in, and I try to make my own props as much as I can. I work with clay and or found objects, things that I see something and I pick it up and I can make it look like something.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
So I try to do it as much as I can for myself without actually having to buy something that looks like a mini microwave or something like that. I try to make it myself. So.
There's a modeler from Sweden, and his name is Trolls Kirk. And an interesting thing he does everything from scratch too. He likes to use foam and paper and cereal box and card and all that stuff. But an interesting thing that I learned from him on his foam, he makes his drywall, like his stone wall, retaining wall things, and then he uses crazy glue in the cracks, and it'll kind of open it up. So that might be an interesting thing for you to experiment with, maybe.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. It
sounds interesting.
It is.
I would. Okay.
Which foam?
So it makes it look more like more exposed bricks. Is that what you're talking about?
You know how you run your razor blade on foam and it'll close right back up. Well,
right.
If you put your CA on it, it'll open up.
It melts it.
Oh yeah. Okay, I get you.
Have you ever tried painting road markings by hand? Maybe you've tried delicate decals and had them rip apart when you tried to get them straight. Well, fret no more, because my friends at Highways and Byways have exactly what you're looking for. John's easy-to-apply vinyl graphics are perfect for completing your city scene quicker and with less stress.
Pretty cool idea.
Question on the foam: which type do you prefer? Because I know they got the blue foam, the green foam, the pink foam, and they all carve different.
Absolutely. I think it's also where you live at.
Mm-hmm.
I did notice that, like Home Depot, they have the pink foam. I've been to Lowe's, they have the blue foam.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in some countries it depends where you can get it, if you can get it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I primarily use the pink foam. I haven't used the blue one. I assume it's more or less the same thing. I don't know. But I thought about giving it a try at some point, buying some, but I gotta wait to use up what I have before I go out and buy some more. So.
The reason I'm asking is, if I prefer the blue, I've never used the pink stuff. I hate the green foam, but I just posted a picture. This is a half-inch.
Trolls actually gave me permission to do a little bit of a show and tell about parts of his DVD that he had released a couple of years ago. It's out of print now, and he said it would be okay for me to show a small portion of certain parts of it.
Cool.
Ed almost famously described Trolls as using a brush the size of St. Louis to paint his stuff, and it's the most realistic stuff you ever seen.
Yeah, Trolls does some neat stuff.
Yeah, we sit there as modelers, and we'll get little brushes and try to detail. And he's sitting there. He's like a 6'4" Swede with
Beard like this.
Yeah, he looks like he should be carrying a battle axe, right? And he's a landscape artist as a profession, and he has his artist brushes, and he's not using his little brushes. He's using, brushes like you paint a painting with, because he's artistically used. He knows what he's doing. He knows use the side, the tip, and it's just pretty neat. Pretty neat video.
Here, I'm gonna share Trolls for a second here, just so that you can see.
Try to. You were talking about the paint, and people say on the model railroaders, there's always some young guy, usually some newbie, going, how do you do concrete? What paint I use for concrete? I'm like, use whatever you got. I never use the same thing twice. I'll look around and whatever gray or kind of a tannish grayish paint I have, and I'll grab that and mix it with something else. I go, well, it looks kind of right, and I'll stain it or dry brush it. We'll get a highlights, and it's not there's not a way to do it. It's just like my brick was carved like that. It was just I printed off a brick shape and I carved it onto the blue foam.
No, absolutely.
There's no way to do it.
A lot of people do ask questions, and you would think, oh, this is so basic. Why would you not know how to do this? But a lot of people just really don't have an idea. They just want to get started. They just need some sort of idea how to get started, and they ask questions that some people are like, are you serious? Are you seriously asking this silly question? But no, I do understand.
No question is ever too silly.
No, absolutely. That's the problem with a lot of people, and they make you feel like you're so small because you're asking a very important question. It may seem stupid to you, but to some people, it's like the light bulb just went on.
Yeah, you open the door for
you have to be encouraging, and you have to be, supportive, because not everyone is on the same wavelength as you are.
Well, and it's also the fact that sometimes that's something so obvious after the fact, and you be sitting looking at something, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, and you go, oh!
Yeah.
It's like, boy, I sure was dumb. It was obvious. It was in my face, and it was like the light bulb. Oh, okay, yeah, that's nice done.
What's that, Steve?
Well, this was an example I was going to share. You guys were talking about the regular acrylic paints. This is a, I believe it's Central Valley.
Truss Bridge?
Yeah, Truss Bridge kit that I put together a couple years ago. It's painted entirely with off-the-shelf craft store acrylic paints.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks
you see
great.
the rivets rusting and yeah, it's I sprayed it with household primer, and then I used my cheapy airbrush I had at the time and sprayed it with like a silver acrylic, and then just wetted down a brush and dipped it in the different colors, the rust-like color I mixed up, and just kind of went to town on it. I've got a bigger bridge. It's on one of my modules I have. I can't get a camera to at the moment, but I'll bring that down and share it next time. That looks fairly similar to this. I actually think it looks a lot better than this one, but I'll share that one next time.
I have often said model railroading should be a course in school, and if I had my way, model railroad photography would be one of those skills taught in that class. Thankfully, my friend Bob Boudreau has covered all this stuff for you on his website. Bob's website covers all aspects of photography, from point-and-shoot cameras to DSLRs. Bob's photography has been part of many contests in the model railroad press, and Bob's contest-winning tricks can be found on this website, so check it out. This is Trolls sitting down in front of one of his paintings.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, it's just amazing. That man's a genius. I'm sorry. There's no other word to describe him with that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Like, this is the painting.
Wow.
Yeah. And Trolls, his palette is a Tupperware bowl, whereas one corner is the reddish color, one corner is the Paris beige. He'll have another corner where it's the burnt umber, and he'll have the white and the cerulean blue, all in the same palette in this Tupperware dish, and it's like every color is mixed, like on the fly.
Share some of his modeling, which he scratch builds everything.
I have to find it.
Well, you had pictures of his lighthouse.
Yeah.
I saw it flash by just a second ago.
This is the lighthouse. Right there. And this is made out of paper, card, and the base is made out of foam. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, so that's a model, just to clarify. That's a model, not a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the lighthouse itself is formed card, and then on the outside he used putty and carved in bricks and stuff like that, and it's full scratch build. It is a full scratch build. And here's a picture of Trolls himself, like the Viking. So
That's amazing work.
yeah. It's unbelievable. And to hear Trolls talk about model railroading, it would disappoint every single person in the hobby because he's not interested in it. He's not interested in trains. He's just interested in the scenery and art and recreating this 3D, representation.
It's a 3D painting is what it is.
Look at those waves.
That's all done with acrylics. He paints... All that's done with acrylic gels and just acrylics to do the white caps and all that.
Yeah, simply amazing.
Yeah, we're proud of Trolls. There's his Shire horses. He just did that recently.
Yeah, and that's not even the whole painting. That's cropped.
The painting's like damn 10 foot wide.
There it is right there. If Trolls was standing on the ground, he would go to the knee of the first draft horse.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got a ladder in front of the thing in some photos. So it's just you don't need to buy the products, as Judy has said. You just trudge through with what you got and what you're interested in, and go for it. Don't let some expert modeler try to sell you on a product that he's affiliated with, just go for it. Want to have your photograph shown in one of our web shows? We would be happy to share a photo credited to you on the next show. We're looking for photographs of models, railroads, and old buildings. Feel free to contact us via Facebook or Google+. Thank you, Judy, for coming on the show. In the next segment, we got a little museum started in my locale of Ontario. Our home and miniature land is probably the most ambitious model railroad centric project I've ever seen in Canada. Full stop. Jean-Louis and crew, headed by, I think, Dave McLean, have a very interesting museum project that is, it's got to be world class. It's on par with Germany's miniature land, and I think, it's fitting that our home and miniature land is titled, and it's the way it is because it seems akin to this project you've seen on YouTube of miniature land in Germany. So let's break into the video of our home and miniature land so we can see what it's all about and what they say about the project. I got permission from Jean-Louis to post these videos, so enjoy.
It's a Saturday morning. It's November. The classic places you go in the summer are all closed, and it's raining. It's pouring. It's miserable out there. And you're stuck indoors with your family, and you say, "Come, we need to get out of this house." So you come to this place called Our Home in Miniature Land, and you basically would walk into a miniature world of Canada. We're going to build a pilot first, which is going to be 3 exhibits. The center exhibit is going to be Toronto.
This is just basically the structure, how it's gonna look. It's gonna be 3 meters tall.
One of the most recognizable features about it is the roof. The roofs nest into each other, so we've got to make sure that those tolerances are as tight as we could possibly go. So this will make up the largest component of the scoreboard.
And on the left, we're going to have Hamilton.
We've got about 8 feet by 36 feet to work with to fill up with an HO scale model of the steel mill. Way larger than anything I've ever done.
The initial phase will be about 3,000 square feet.
All in miniature, with moving parts. So you'll see the GO train running, you'll see a VIA train running. You may even see a futuristic high-speed train link running between Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal.
That ability to offer a child that three-dimensional learning, that hands-on component where they can go to a site where there is depth and there is breadth is so enriching.
A great thing for schools, for tours.
3 things that we want to convey through this is explore, experience, and learn.
Pretty cool project, huh? Check them out at miniatureland.ca.
Well, I'll probably screw this up a couple times as we're going through this, but that's all right. I'll get the hang of it here before too long.
That's my style.
Perfect. Well, where do you want to start?
With an introduction.
Well, I will tell you, I've loved trains for a long time, and I have tried twice to get a layout started and just lost all interest, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. And now I'm back into it one more time. And I finally got track laid, made much more progress for a change, and I'm knee deep in a half a dozen 8 laser kits that I've bought to get things set up. And I'll tell you, I think the one thing that made it a little bit easier this go around was actually coming up with something that was realistic to model.
Yeah.
I've been an architect for 20 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
So buildings is not foreign to me. Mm-hmm. I know the details of buildings. Been more actively modeling for about the last 6 or 7 years.
It's probably
so I started SketchUp back at release 5 or release 6.
Oh goodness.
And so I don't know everything about SketchUp, but I know enough for the way I typically use it, which is nice design development modeling and then renderings.
Yeah.
When I started the layout this go around, I I wanted to see what the 3D printing world of things might be able to offer me as a modeler and an architect that understands buildings and what I was wanting to accomplish.
I see.
And that's how I kind of ran into Shapeways probably about 6-8 months ago, and just started messing around with some stuff to learn the limitations of Shapeways. And that's kind of that information that I'd sent to you via email, the minimums of the things that are required. And Ed did a great job of kind of going through some of that stuff too. And one of the things I decided very early on was, if I want something cheap, you got to use that plastic cheap white.
Yeah.
Whatever the entry level plastic is. And it does okay, but I ordered a few things and it's got a very grainy texture to it.
More like a beta.
Yeah, and so I've recently said, if I'm going to do high-end quality modeling, I'm going to stick to the FUD printing. And that's why I'm interested to see how this model ends up turning out after we're done here with a couple sessions or however long it takes. If we can keep it fairly economical as kind of that storefront type prototype, I'll shoot it off and pay to have it printed and see how it comes back.
Oh, wow, that would be great.
I don't mind spending a little bit of money to test the waters and see, because the reality of it is when I started looking at Shapeways, I was kind of wanting to see if there was a way that the modeling side of our community could actually create custom stuff at about the same cost as it would take, plus your time, obviously, to go buy a kit that's run-of-the-mill that everybody has. It's easy to go out and buy the kit, but some people don't have the money.
Yeah.
Some people aren't going to drop $100+ on one kit, and some people that's nothing. They do it every day, and that's just who they are, and they've got the expendable income to do that.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'd rather use my time and see if I can create a custom product. If it helps the community, then I'm more than happy to share that information, and I'm not in this to make money. I have a real job. This is a hobby for me.
Awesome. That's right up our alley.
So, yeah, so that's why, I've on several of the Facebook groups. I ran onto the Modelers Guild group. I don't know, it's been probably, 2 months now. And I've just been blown away by the quality of the modeling that's out there. Now, granted, it looks like a lot of these people are in O or ON3 scale, which is larger than, obviously, N and HO scale. I'm an HO modeler. It's what it's the first train I was given as a kid. It's what I understand, and I think I can realistically hit a high-quality level of detail at that scale.
We don't focus on the trains at Modelers Guild. It's more structures, so...
Yeah, that's why it's been great to see that as opposed to all the other Facebook pages associated with just trains. I'm more fascinated with steam than I am diesel, but that doesn't mean that I don't like diesel. That just happens to be what I particularly like.
The buildings during steam are still here today in some parts, so.
Exactly. And that's why I thought it'd be kind of cool. I found this building that was built, I don't know, early 1900s, 1920s. That, quite frankly, is probably still standing there today, seeing as I got a current picture of it, that it can be used for either era. And then the imagination runs wild on what you want to use it for on your layout.
It looks like a fire station, does it not?
It does a little bit, but it's hard to tell because I'm looking at it right now off to the side here. It looks like that lower level storefront has been updated.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to tell if that was an overhead door at one point for a fire station or not. I didn't grab any other images that may be online to see if there's a lot of times these old buildings will have a cast stone or limestone date block on them with a name or something. I didn't get into looking for that kind of stuff on this one.
Yeah, well, the first thing I thought of was Ghostbusters when I saw the picture. So anybody who wanted to kit bash this could probably do that building.
Sure. Well, tell me a little bit about you.
Me? I'm basically, I was a carpenter and I kind of visually impaired. I had a corneal transplant when I was 18. So it was just a matter of time before I wasn't going to be able to work out in the wild anymore. So that happened around when I was 31 years old, where it just started getting too dangerous to saw like this with the skill saw. So I was building stairs at the time, and I went down to a model rail club with the driver who I was with, and I was hooked right away. You know,
Cool.
I immediately started cutting wood on a bandsaw and trying to get scale wood and stuff like that. It just so happens that I was living in Hamilton, Ontario at the time, and that's where Mount Albert scale models is, or Mount Albert scale wood is from. You know, they make the best strip wood that you can find. So after a while, I found out where they were, and I got a great big stack of wood, and I just started building away. And after that, it's just sharing pictures online, and one client, two clients, start working with a manufacturer, imagine that laser art, and the rest is history.
So you're kind of full-time into the modeling world then.
Yeah.
This is a job for you.
Well, yes. For the last 3 years, it's been a job. The money's getting higher and higher each year. But the other thing is last year, September, I started working with Maker Studios, who is a Disney. They're a subsidiary of Disney, and
Okay.
Maker Studios is basically a channel on YouTube for that. You know, they serve their own ads. I don't know. It's really hard to get into the group, and they invited me to go in. So I was just like, let's do it. I don't care if I'm the only modeler there. I'll just bring the guys with me after, you know. So I've been slowly but surely doing, like, I'm not really comfortable on camera. It might not look like it, but I really am not cut out for doing this. So it's a lot of training, a lot of just pushing myself. And again, the rest is history.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, I was tickled when you asked me, about trying to jump in and help with something SketchUp related. It is right up my alley. I do probably approach things a whole lot different than just the everyday user that's going to go get the free version and try and jump online and model something.
Mm-hmm.
But not unlike anything else, practice makes you more efficient at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I watched Ed's video, and I kind of made that comment about, hey, I think I might be approaching this 180 degrees the opposite direction, because I'm a firm believer in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I thought we could go through this morning, and just kind of the setup stuff. When you said, hey, do you mind if I model along with you? That's perfectly fine with me. I mean, I don't think there's any better way for people to truly get plugged into the process and how they can help themselves than to just do it.
Well, don't let me slow you down. Don't wait for me to catch up to you, because I'm going to go over this video and finish my model after. So we're going to keep your time efficient. We're not going to go too far. And then to go back to your point about Ed, and something we talked about earlier, is that everybody learns differently. Ed's self-taught, so sometimes his steps are, oh yeah, I need to do this, in where you do it maybe on a daily basis or a weekly basis. You've got a system. Long Shadows model trees, where all the trees are handmade one at a time to make your layout look real. Don't want 100 trees that look all alike? Contact Bob, and he'll make the kind of trees you are looking for. To get your own Long Shadow model trees, just go to malersguild.com/LSMT. And we thank Bob for his support of the MR&S show.
Right.
So,
well, that system on my end is obviously created by being as efficient as possible, because in my industry, time is money.
Oh yeah.
And quite frankly, I'm going to tell a client I can do a rendering or a model for you. I'm only going to get paid X dollars regardless of how much time it takes me.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be spending any more time in it than I possibly have to accomplish the goal. And that's where the way I model is probably a lot differently, because I'm used to actually applying JPEGs and materials to a much more simplistic model.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At the end, I run it through a rendering program, and I adjust all my lights and everything to create a realistic image.
Mm.
And that's where what we're doing in the railroad modeling community, or anybody else that wants to use it for dioramas, on the 3D printing side, you have to actually model in all the detail. So you're seeing some really cool stuff on Shapeways from guys that have really started to perfect these modeling techniques. It's absolutely amazing to me to jump on there and see some of the stuff people are modeling. Now, granted, they're not all using SketchUp. They're probably using a whole lot more sophisticated modeling programs than I do.
SolidWorks or Autodesk or what have you.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about what I think Shapeways has done is they've set up that platform to really allow all these different modeling programs to export into select files that they've set up for 3D printing.
Actually,
as the technology gets better and better and better, you're going to see even more amazing models.
Yeah. Well, actually, years ago, I think it was 2010. I know they just started, but Shapeways contacted me in 2010, and 3D or rapid prototyping is what it was called at the time, wasn't even on my radar. And I had no idea how to model, and I couldn't take advantage of the offer. It was heartbreaking, to tell you the truth, but I couldn't take advantage of the offer. So it's always been something I wanted to learn, because of that. It's like, opportunity lost.
Well, and everybody's going to have their skill sets. And, the older I get, the more of a firm believer I am. And surround yourself with the quality people that all have different skill sets, and don't stop trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm just one of those guys. If I can fix it myself, do it myself, I'm never going to pay anybody to do it. And that's just, I like to be a continual learner. So, that's why this is one of those that, hey, if it's something that I can help contribute that nobody else wants to mess with, because they're better at painting and weathering and the detail side of things, but don't want to tackle the skills required to do a custom detailed model, that's something of interest to me in going down this path within the modeling community where I might be able to contribute something.
Well, I think that it's really needed because, we all listen to Model Rail Radio, and they've got that contest going on right now. And it's a really easy 3D print model to make, but a lot of people don't know how to do it. So this right here might help Tom and, sorry, I forget the other gentleman already, Terrence, to maybe have more entries into the, maybe we can help them.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so.
Well, hey, let's jump into SketchUp. And what version are you using?
I'm using the...
Take two. Mic wasn't on again. So that's show number 4 in the can. The horsemen are staring at me. They think I'm a weirdo too. I'm sure of it. Show number 4 is in the can. I want to thank Judy Hernandez, and I want to thank Jason Reece for coming on the show. I'd like to thank Jean-Louis Brennigmeyer. Sorry I didn't say your last name in the segment, because I didn't want to screw it up. I don't know. I hate that part, not knowing how somebody says their name. So if I ever hear you say your name, I'll try to mimic it, but I can't just make something up. But I guess I just did. But anyways, show number 4, I think I'm going to do 10 episodes for the season and then take a break. I don't know if it'll be how long the break will be, but I think that each season should be 10 shows, and that I take a break in between. It's not like I do a season a year. I could do 2 seasons in a year, maybe. Maybe I could do more. I'm not going to be stifled by TV standards. This ain't TV. So thanks for watching the show. If you want to support the show, you can do so via patreon.com/Ron Pare, or you can contribute privately, directly to my PayPal at pare.ron@gmail.com. Ciao.
On the road, out of the city, gonna leave my past behind. I will stand, take no pity. Pain is broken, man.